Hi everyone, I will tell you about one of the strategy in teaching mathematics, which is R.C.E.M approach. What is R.C.E.M approach? It is an approach that has been developed at Regional College of Education, Mysore, Karnataka, India. This approach makes use of systems approach to education. It consists of teaching objectives and learning experiences. The question teaching is considered as an interactive process. It is commonly known as R.C.E.M approach to lesson planning. The basis of this approach is Bloom's taxonomy of objectives. Here, the importance is given to teaching objectives, teachers' activities, and pupils' evaluation. Main steps or aspects involved in this approach are: first, input. Input step is concerned with the identification and specification of educational objectives. It also includes the identification of the entering behavior of the students. The objectives are written in behavioral terms. This step resembles the introduction step. It also refers to the objectives of the plan. They are known as expected behavioral outcome or EBO. They are classified into following categories: knowledge, understanding, application, and creativity. The second step is process. This step is concerned with the presentation of content matter. Activities of teacher and students are involved in this process. This step resembles the presentation step of Herbartian approach. It represents the interaction process of the classroom. It includes activities of the teacher as well as students and use of different teaching strategies. The process refers to the teaching strategies. They are communication strategy, instructional aids, learning situation, and technique of motivation. The last step is output. It is concerned with the evaluation phase of the lesson. Teacher uses various evaluation tools and techniques to know the extent of achievement of instructional objectives. This includes the real behavioral changes among students. It also refers to the real learning outcome. This includes general and specific objectives. Characteristics of R.C.E.M. First, writing or converting objectives into behavioral term is easy. Second, the construction of test items is convenient. Third, this approach lays more stress on mental activities. Fourth, this approach has been developed in and according to Indian conditions. Fifth, all educational objectives can be written in behavioral terms in this approach. Sixth, the objectives in behavioral terms are more specific and definite. Seventh, R.C.E.M gives more importance to the learning process than learning outcomes. There are merits in R.C.E.M approach. Number 1, it is more suitable to Indian schools. Number 2, objectives are stated in terms of measurable abilities and mental process. Number 3, teaching learning situations, strategies, aids, and materials are properly stated. Number 4, evaluation aspect is properly taken care of. There are also demerits in this approach. Number 1, it is very tedious to write lesson plan of this type. Number 2, it is time consuming. Theories or concepts that support R.C.E.M approach. As it has already been mentioned that Robert Mager's scheme of writing objectives in behavioral terms has some limitations. Keeping in view the limitations of Mager's scheme, Regional College of Education Mysore or R.C.E.M developed its own scheme which is known as R.C.E.M system. In Mager's scheme, more emphasis is laid on the product while process is more important in R.C.E.M system. In this system, mental abilities are also considered more important. This Institute of Mysore adopted Bloom's taxonomy as its base. Bloom's has divided cognitive objectives into 6 objectives, but R.C.E.M has changed Bloom's 6 cognitive objectives into 4 objectives only. The later 3 objectives of Bloom, such as analysis, synthesis, and evaluation, have been named as creativity in R.C.E.M system. All the mental abilities involved in these 4 objectives have been placed into 17 categories. Hence, we see that all the activities of human learning have been divided into 17 mental abilities. These mental abilities are used in writing objectives in behavioral terms. R.C.E.M approach has some limitations which are as follows. Number 1. If we see the table of objectives, it would be clear that there is no balance between various mental activities for different objectives. In cognitive objectives, there are 2. In understanding objectives, there are 7. In application objectives, there are 5. And in creativity objectives, there are 3 mental activities. Number 2, it is a difficult task to associate various elements of the content with the various mental activities. Number 3, Guilford has suggested 120 mental abilities while this system has suggested only 17 mental abilities. Number 4, this system is more useful for cognitive objectives only because use of a single design for cognitive, affective, and psychomotor objectives does not seem to be appropriate. According to EdTech site, the following are the ways on how to write the objectives of R.C.E.M approach. Number 1, have in mind the entry behavior of the learner. Number 2, think again the element of content or topic to be given to the learner. Number 3, think again the teaching objectives. Number 4, in view of the entry behavior, element of content, and the particular objective, try to select appropriate mental process for writing the objective in question. Number 5, make use of the 17 frames of the R.C.E.M approach and fill in the blanks in view of the entry behavior of the learner and learning experiences given to him. Summary of the theory or concept. Robert Mager's scheme of writing objectives in behavioral terms has some limitations. R.C.E.M developed its own code as R.C.E.M system. The process is the most important in this system, and R.C.E.M changed the 6 cognitive objectives of Bloom into 4 objectives. The later 3 objectives of Bloom, such as analysis, synthesis, and evaluation, have been placed together into one and named as creativity in R.C.E.M system. All the mental abilities involved in these 4 objectives have been placed into 17 categories. These mental abilities are used in writing objectives in behavioral terms. R.C.E.M approach has many limitations. One of these limitations is there is no balance between several mental activities for different objectives. Another limitation is it is tough to associate many elements of the content with the several mental activities. One more limitation is that this system has only suggested 17 mental abilities while Guilford has suggested 120 mental abilities. Last limitation is this system is more useful only for cognitive objectives because use of a single design for cognitive, affective, and psychomotor objectives does not seem to be suitable. There are ways on how to write objectives of R.C.E.M approach according to the site of EdTech. First, think the entry behavior of the learner. Next is think again the element of content or topic to be given on the students. Then again, think the teaching objectives. Next is try to select suitable mental process for writing the objectives in question. Lastly, use the 17 frames of the R.C.E.M approach and fill in the blanks in view of the entry behavior of the student and learning experiences given to him. R.C.E.M approach is more focused on the process. It makes use of system approach to education. R.C.E.M approach lesson plan format. Date, period, class, time, subject, topic, educational objectives, previous knowledge, teaching materials, teaching points, motivation, presentation, and homework. And now I will show you the sample lesson plan. Thank you and God bless.